Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. Today, I want to talk about cooking food because it is an important part of my daily life. Cooking is not only about preparing meals, it is also a creative activity that helps me relax, save money, and take care of my health. In this episode, I will describe my experience step by step, starting from deciding what to cook and preparing everything in the kitchen. Usually, the process begins with a simple question: what should I cook today? Sometimes I already have a plan in my mind, but other times I need to think about it. I check what food I have at home in the fridge and in the cupboard. Based on the ingredients, I decide what meal is possible to prepare. For example, if I have vegetables, eggs, or pasta, I can choose a simple and quick dish. After I decide on the meal, I start preparing the kitchen. I wash my hands, clean the table if needed, and take out all the ingredients. I also take the necessary kitchen tools, such as a knife, a pan, a pot, and a cutting board. It is important to organize everything before starting because it makes cooking easier and faster. Next, I begin with basic preparation. I wash the vegetables, peel them if necessary, and cut them into small pieces. While doing this, I try to be careful and focused, especially when using a knife. Safety is very important in the kitchen, so I always take my time and avoid rushing. At the same time, I sometimes turn on some music or a podcast in the background. This makes the cooking process more enjoyable and less stressful. I find that cooking can be relaxing when I am in a good mood and not in a hurry. When everything is ready, I start cooking step by step. I heat the pan, add oil, and begin cooking the ingredients. I follow the recipe or my own experience, depending on the dish. While cooking, I pay attention to the time, temperature, and the condition of the food. This helps me avoid mistakes and make the meal taste better. In general, the beginning of cooking is very important. Planning, organizing, and preparing everything properly makes the rest of the process much easier. When I start well, the final result is usually better and I enjoy cooking more. After everything is prepared, I move on to the main cooking process. This is the stage where all the ingredients come together and turn into a complete meal. At this point, I follow a clear sequence of steps to make sure everything is cooked properly and in the right order. First, I usually start by heating the pan or pot. I turn on the stove and wait until it reaches the right temperature. Then I add a small amount of oil or butter, depending on the recipe. This step is important because it helps prevent the food from sticking and improves the taste. Next, I begin cooking the main ingredients. For example, if I am cooking vegetables, I put them into the pan and stir them slowly. I make sure that they are cooked evenly by mixing them from time to time. If I am making something with eggs, I break the eggs into a bowl, mix them, and then pour them into the pan. I watch carefully to avoid burning the food. During cooking, timing is very important. Each ingredient needs a certain amount of time to cook. Some foods cook quickly, while others take longer. I try to pay attention and not leave the kitchen for too long, so I don't overcook or undercook anything. Sometimes I also add spices, salt, or pepper to improve the taste. I add them step by step and taste the food if possible. It is better to add a small amount first and then adjust because it is easier to add more than to fix food that is too salty or too spicy. While cooking, I continue to stir and check the food regularly. I observe the color, smell, and texture. These signs help me understand if the food is ready or if it needs more time. I also adjust the heat if necessary, making it higher or lower depending on the situation. If the recipe has more than one part, I prepare each part separately and then combine them at the end. For example, I might cook vegetables in one pan and pasta in a pot, and then mix everything together. This helps keep the flavors balanced and the texture correct. In general, the cooking process requires attention, patience, and simple organization. By following each step carefully, I can prepare a meal that looks good and tastes good. After the main ingredients are cooked, I move on to the final stage, which is finishing the meal and serving the food. This part is important because it brings everything together and prepares the dish to be eaten. At this stage, I focus on checking the final taste, appearance, and temperature of the food. First, I turn off the stove and carefully check if the food is fully cooked. I look at the texture and color to make sure everything is ready. If something needs a little more time, I leave it on low heat for a short period. But if everything looks good, I stop cooking and prepare to serve the meal. Next, I taste the food one last time. I check if it needs a bit more salt, spices, or any final adjustments. Sometimes a small change can improve the overall flavor. I mix the ingredients again if needed, so the taste is balanced and consistent. Then I prepare the plates and serving dishes. I carefully place the food on the plate using a spoon or spatula. I try to make the presentation look nice, even for a simple meal. For example, I may arrange the food neatly or add a small decoration like herbs or vegetables on top. This makes the meal more attractive and enjoyable. After that, I check the temperature of the food. Some meals are best when they are hot, while others can be served warm or even cold. I make sure the food is at a good temperature before serving. If it is too hot, I wait a few minutes so it is comfortable to eat. I also prepare the table before eating. I set the table with plates, forks, spoons, and sometimes a glass of water or a drink. Having a clean and organized table makes the meal more pleasant. Even a simple meal feels better when it is served nicely. Finally, I sit down and enjoy the food. This is the moment when all the effort in cooking becomes worth it. I take my time to eat, taste each bite, and appreciate the meal I prepared. Cooking is not only about feeding the body, but also about enjoying the process and the result. After finishing the meal and eating, the next important step is cleaning the kitchen. This part is not as enjoyable as cooking, but it is necessary to keep the space clean, safe, and ready for the next time. I always try to clean as soon as possible because it is easier to wash dishes and tools before the food dries or sticks. First, I start by collecting all the used dishes, pans, pots, and utensils. I bring them to the sink and separate them if needed. For example, I may put plates in one place and cooking tools in another. This helps me stay organized and clean everything step by step. Next, I wash the dishes. I use warm water and dish soap to remove food and grease. I begin with lighter items like glasses and plates, and then move on to heavier items like pans and pots. Some items may need more time to clean, especially if food is stuck on them, so I let them soak in water for a while before washing. While washing, I make sure to clean both sides of each item carefully. I also rinse everything with clean water to remove any soap. After that, I place the clean dishes on a drying rack or wipe them with a clean towel. It is important that everything is completely dry before putting it back in place. Then I clean the cooking area. I wipe the table, the stove, and any surfaces that were used during cooking. Sometimes small pieces of food or oil may fall on the counter, so I clean them immediately. Keeping the surfaces clean helps maintain hygiene and prevents bad smells. I also check the trash and throw away any leftover food or packaging. If the trash bin is full, I take it out and replace the bag. This keeps the kitchen fresh and avoids unpleasant odors. After everything is clean, I return all the items to their proper places. I organize the kitchen tools, store the ingredients back in the fridge or cupboard, and make sure everything is in order. This helps me find things easily the next time I cook. In general, cleaning the kitchen is an important habit that supports a good cooking routine. Even though it takes time and effort, it makes the kitchen more comfortable and ready for future use. A clean space also makes me feel more relaxed and organized. Cooking is not only a daily task for me, but also something I truly enjoy. Over time, it has become a part of my routine that I look forward to. There are several reasons why I like cooking, and each of them makes the experience more meaningful and interesting. First of all, cooking gives me a sense of creativity. I can choose different ingredients, try new recipes, and change the way I prepare food. Even when I follow a simple recipe, I can adjust it to my own taste by adding spices or combining ingredients in a different way. This makes cooking feel like a creative process rather than just a task. Another reason I enjoy cooking is that it helps me relax. When I am in the kitchen, I can focus on simple actions like cutting vegetables, stirring food, or waiting for something to cook. These activities help me take my mind off stress and daily problems. Cooking becomes a kind of break where I can slow down and enjoy the moment. I also like cooking because it gives me a feeling of independence. I don't always need to rely on restaurants or ready-made food. I can prepare my own meals whenever I want. This is not only practical but also useful for my health because I can control what I eat and choose fresh and healthy ingredients. Another positive aspect is the satisfaction I feel after finishing a meal. When the food is ready and looks good, I feel proud of what I have done. Even simple dishes can bring a sense of achievement. Sharing food with others or enjoying it myself makes the effort worthwhile. Cooking also helps me develop useful skills. I learn how to organize my time, follow instructions, and improve my attention to detail. Over time, I become more confident in the kitchen and more efficient in preparing meals. In addition, cooking can be a social activity. Sometimes I cook for my family or friends, and we enjoy the meal together. This creates a warm and friendly atmosphere and makes the experience more enjoyable. Food can bring people together and create good memories. Overall, cooking is more than just preparing food. It is a combination of creativity, relaxation, responsibility, and enjoyment. That is why I continue to cook regularly and see it as an important and positive part of my life. Although I enjoy cooking, it is not always easy. Sometimes I face small challenges in the kitchen, and I need to solve them calmly and step by step. These difficulties help me learn and improve my cooking skills over time. One common challenge is time management. When I cook, I need to prepare ingredients, cook the food, and clean the kitchen. If I do not plan well, I may feel rushed or forget something important. To avoid this, I try to organize my steps in advance and follow a simple plan. I also prepare all ingredients before I start cooking, so the process goes more smoothly. Another challenge is making mistakes. Sometimes I may add too much salt, overcook the food, or forget an ingredient. When this happens, I try not to worry too much. Instead, I think about how to fix the problem. For example, if the food is too salty, I may add more ingredients to balance the taste. Mistakes are a natural part of learning, and they help me become better in the future. I also face challenges with following new recipes. When I try a dish for the first time, I may not be familiar with all the steps or ingredients. In such cases, I read the recipe carefully and take my time to understand each instruction. If something is not clear, I look for additional explanations or examples. This helps me feel more confident when trying new meals. Another difficulty can be lack of time or energy. Sometimes I feel tired after a long day and cooking may seem difficult. In these situations, I choose simple and quick recipes that do not require much effort. I also try to prepare easy meals that still taste good and are healthy. Despite these challenges, I continue to cook because I know that each experience teaches me something new. Over time, I become more confident, more organized, and more efficient in the kitchen. Cooking is not about being perfect, but about learning, practicing, and improving step by step. In conclusion, challenges are a normal part of cooking, but they can be managed with patience, planning, and a positive attitude. By facing these challenges, I improve my skills and enjoy cooking even more.
Leave a comment under this video and one of you will get 40 English lessons for free.